Hello and welcome to this video from Heybridge High School Maths Department. Today we're going to have a look at objective NP 7.7 and this is one of my favourite topics, fractions. We're going to look at the order of operations with fractions. So with the order of operations with fractions, we're looking at exactly the same order of operations that we use when we're doing any kind of arithmetic with other numbers. So we're going to go with BODMAS. So this is brackets, order, which are your indices, your powers, division, multiplication, addition and subtraction. So let's have a look at our first problem. So we've got an addition here, we've got 2/3 add 1/8 multiplied by 1/9. So I'm going to do this part first because multiplication comes before addition. So I'm going to start off by doing an 1/8 multiplied by a 1/9, and that will give me 1/72. So I can now replace this 1/8 times 1/9 with 1/72. So I'm now going to have 2/3 plus 1/72. I'm going to need to turn my 2/3 into something over 72. And I know that if I multiply 3 by 24, I'm going to get 72. And then I'm going to do the same to the top, multiply by 24. 2 times 24 is 48. So I'm now going to have 48/72 plus 1/72. And that's going to give me 49/72. And I can't simplify that because with the exception of the number 1, 49 and 72 don't have any common factors. So let's have a look at our second problem. So here we've got 1/8 divided by 1/5 and then add a half. So division comes first, so I'm going to divide. So I'm going to do 1/8 divided by 1/5. That's going to give me 1/8. I keep that fraction. I'm going to change my division to a multiplication, and then I'm going to change my 5th to 5/1. So we keep, change, flip, and then I'm just going to multiply across. So 1 times 5 is 5, and 8 times 1 is 8, and then I can do my addition. So I've now got 5/8 because I've done that division, and then I'm going to add on a half. So I'm going to need to turn my half into something over 8 because remember that I can only add and subtract fractions where the denominator is the same. So to get from 2 to 8, I need to multiply by 4. Let's do the same on the top. Multiply by 4. 1 times 4 is 4. So then we're going to do 5/8. And we're going to add 4/8. That's going to give us 9/8. So we need to express that as a mixed number because this is an improper fraction. The numerator is larger than the denominator. So I'm going to do 9 divided by 8, and that will give me 1, and my remainder is 1/8. So now let's have a look at a couple of problems that involve brackets. So let's pop our BODMAS across the top again. So brackets, so when we see brackets, we always do the brackets first. So we're going to do this part first. And we're going to do 1/2 add 3/5. So I need to turn these two fractions, so my least common multiple of my denominators 2 and 5 will be 10. So I'm going to turn both of my fractions into tenths. So let's deal with a half first. So I'm going to multiply the bottom by 5, the denominator, and then I'm going to multiply the numerator by the same, and that's going to give me 5/10. And then let's take our 3/5, and I know that I want my denominator of my equivalent fraction to be 10. So I'm going to multiply 5 by 2, and then I'm going to do exactly the same with my numerator. I'm going to multiply by 2, and that's going to give me 6/10. So I can now do 5/10 plus 6/10, and that's going to give me 11/10. Now this is an improper fraction, but I'm not going to simplify my answer until I get to the end. So I've now worked out a half plus 3/5, so I'm now left with this 11/10, and I need to divide that by 2/9. So I'm going to keep my 11/10. I'm going to change my division to a multiplication, and I'm going to flip my second fraction, and then I can multiply. So I'm going to do 11 multiplied by 9 will give me 99, and 2 multiplied by 10 will give me 20. And now I can simplify my answer. So 99 divided by 20, 20 will go in 4 whole times, and then I'll have a remainder of 19/20. So let's have a look at this second one. So a little bit easier here because they've been really kind to me, and they've given me 2 fractions which have the same denominator. So 1/5 plus 4/5, that's going to give me 5/5, which is 1. So I'm now going to have 3/5 multiplied by 1. And as we know, if we multiply anything by 1, we get whatever we're multiplying itself. So if we multiply 3/5 by 1, we're just going to get 3/5. So now let's have a look at some that involve more than 2 terms inside the bracket. So we're going to do our bracket first. So I've got 3/5 take away 2/5 plus 1/4. So I can do 3/5 take away 2/5, which will give me 1/5, and then I'm going to have plus 1/4. Now, the lowest common multiple of 5 and 4 is 20, so I'm going to turn both into fractions, equivalent fractions, with a denominator of 20. So I'm going to multiply by 4, multiply the top as well. That will give me a numerator of 4. And then here let's multiply our denominator by 5. And let's do exactly the same on the top, multiply by 5. And there we go. We're going to get 4/20 plus 5/20. And that's going to give us 9/20. So now we can substitute our 9/20 into our original question in place of the bracket, because we've worked the bracket out. And we now have this, 9/20 divided by 1/6. So we've now got 9/20. Remember, we're going to keep that. We're going to change our division to a multiplication, and we are going to flip our second fraction. That's going to give us an answer of 54/20. Now we're going to simplify our 54/20 because we want to always give our answers in their simplest form. So I can see straight away that I can simplify this because both my numerator and my denominator are even numbers, so I can just divide both by 2. So that will give me 27 over 10. And again, I now have an improper fraction, so I'm going to turn it into a mixed number. 27 divided by 10 is 2, and that will give me a remainder of 7 over 10. Now let's move on to our second question. So again, we're going to do our brackets first. So we've got 3 over 5 plus 5 over 6 minus 1 over 3. And I know that my lowest common multiple of 5, 6 and 3 is 30. So I'm going to convert my 3 fractions into equivalent fractions with a denominator of 30. So I'm going to multiply 5 by 6 to get to 30, and then I shall do the same to my numerator, multiply by 6, and that will get me 18 over 30. Now I need to convert 5 over 6 into an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 30. So I'm going to multiply that by 5. I'm going to do the same here. I'm going to multiply by 5, and that's going to give me a denominator of 25. And then I also need to convert my 1/3. That will give me 30. Multiplying by 10, multiplying the top by 10, that will give me 10. Now, if you're a little bit unsure about least common multiples, you could write out the 3, 6 and 5 times tables and see what the smallest number is that appears in all 3 of them. So that's one way of finding your lowest common multiple, so that you can convert your fractions into equivalent fractions with the same denominator in order to add them or subtract them. So I'm now going to complete the calculation that's in the bracket. I'm going to have 18 over 30, add 25 over 30, then I'm going to subtract 10 over 30. 18 add 25 is 43. And then I'm going to subtract that 10, and that's going to give me 33 over 30. And I can immediately see that I can simplify this fraction because 3 is a factor of both the numerator and the denominator. So I'm going to divide by 3. And that's going to give me 11 over 10. And I can now put that back into my original calculation in place of my bracket. So I'm now going to do 1 over 8 divided by 11 over 10. So we're dividing again, so we're going to keep the first fraction, change the division to a multiplication, and flip our second fraction. And that's going to give me 10 over 88, and I can simplify that again by dividing both my numerator and my denominator by 2, and that's going to give me an answer of 5 over 44. So now we're going to have a look at a couple of calculations that involve more than one set of brackets. So for our first calculation, we're going to work out the calculation inside each set of brackets first, and then we're going to multiply the 2 results together. So let's start off with the first set of brackets. So I've got 2 over 9 plus 1 over 9. That's going to give me 3 over 9, and I can simplify that. I can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3, and that's going to give me 1/3. Always be looking when you're working with fractions to simplify fractions down, because they make the multiplication, division, other calculations much simpler. But remember that if you have an improper fraction, so that's a fraction where the denominator is larger than the numerator, you should only simplify if it's your final answer to a problem, because once a fraction is in mixed number form, you can't calculate with it. You would need to convert it back to an improper fraction to be able to calculate with it. So that's my first bracket. Now let's have a little look at my second bracket. So I've now got 1/3 take away a quarter. So my lowest common multiple of 3 and 4 is 12. So let's convert my two fractions into equivalent fractions with a denominator of 12. So 3 times 4 is 12. So I'm also going to multiply the numerator by 4, and that's going to give me 4/12. And then I've got 1/4. So I need to multiply that by 3. And I'm also going to do exactly the same here. I'm going to multiply by 3, and that will give me 3/12. So I can now work out the calculation in that bracket. 4/12 take away 3/12, and that will give me 1/12. So I can now use this answer and this answer to complete my calculation. So I'm going to do 1/3, which was the result of the calculation in my first bracket, and I'm going to multiply that by 1/12, which is the result of the calculation of my second bracket, and that will give me 1/36. Now our second problem, this one may look a little bit confusing because we've got one set of brackets on the outside, but then we've got another set of brackets inside the first set of brackets. We always begin with the innermost set of brackets. So we're going to begin with this calculation. So we're going to begin by doing 4/5 subtract 1/3. So we're going to convert our two fractions into equivalent fractions, and they're going to have a denominator of 15 because our least common denominator, our lowest common multiple, of 5 and 3 will be 15. So we're going to have 4/5, and we want to turn that into 15ths. So we're going to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by 3, and that's going to give me 12/15. And then I've got 1/3, and I also want to convert that into 15ths. So I need to multiply both the denominator and the numerator by 5, and that's going to give me 5/15. So I now have 12/15 take away 5/15, and that's going to give me 7/15. So I can now replace the innermost set of brackets with 7/15. So my calculation would now look like this. I'd have 1/6 multiplied by 7/15 divided by 1/5. So now I'm going to do my second set of brackets. So 1/6 times 7/15 is going to give me 7/90. And now I can complete my calculation. So I now have 7/90 divided by 1/5. So I'm going to keep my 7/90. I'm going to change my division to a multiplication, and I'm going to flip my second fraction upside down. That's going to give me 35/90. And I can simplify that because 35 and 90, 35 ends in a 5, 90 ends in a 0. That means that I can divide them both by 5. So if I divide 90 by 5, I'm going to get 18. And if I divide 35 by 5, I'm going to get 7. So my answer to that calculation is 7/18. Thank you for watching.